First contact and Steel Thunder. Captain Sarah Chen stood in the commander's cupola of the M1A4 Sentinel, her eyes scanning the pre-dawn Mogav landscape through thermal imaging. The experimental tank systems hummed beneath her, a symphony of human engineering that had taken decades to perfect. What made the Sentinel special wasn't its raw firepower, though the 140mm smoothbore gun was nothing to scoff at, but rather its adaptive combat system, designed to learn and adjust to new threats in real time. She hadn't expected to test those systems quite so soon. Movement at bearing 045, range 4 clicks. Lieutenant Rivera, her gunner, reported with characteristic precision. Heat signature doesn't match anything in our database, Captain. The thermal image showed 3 objects moving across the desert floor, but something was off about their locomotion. They weren't leaving tracks, and their heat patterns pulsed in ways that defied conventional physics. Mako 2 and 3, form on my flanks, Sarah ordered over the tactical net. Widespread, maintain visual contact. Her other 2 sentinels acknowledged, their massive forms sliding into position with practiced ease. The strange vehicles, if that's what they were, continued their approach. In visible light, they appeared to be sleek, almost organic shapes that hovered 3 feet above the ground. Their surface seemed to ripple like mercury in the growing dawn light. Command, this is Mako Actual, Sarah transmitted. We have unknown contacts approaching the Mogav Research Complex. Request confirmation of any scheduled tests or exercises in the area. The response came back immediately. Negative. Mako Actual. Area should be clear. Stand by. We're picking up atmospheric disturbances consistent with high-energy reactions. Exercise extreme caution. Sarah felt her throat tighten. After 15 years in the Armor Corps, she'd developed a sixth sense for trouble. This wasn't some classified test gone wrong. This was something else entirely. All units, load tungsten penetrators, she ordered. The loader behind her smoothly rammed the first round home. Rivera, get me a solid lock on the lead vehicle. The alien vessels, there was no point pretending they were anything else now, suddenly accelerated, their mercury-like surfaces hardening into angular geometric patterns. Energy readings spiked across her displays. Contact. The warning came from Mako 3, followed by a brilliant flash of blue-white light. A beam of coherent energy lanced out from the lead alien vessel, missing Mako 3 by meters, but turning the desert sand beneath it to glass. Weapons free, Sarah commanded, her training taking over. Target priority is lead vehicle, ripple fire, and displace. The Sentinel's main gun roared, sending a depleted uranium penetrator screaming toward the alien craft at hypersonic velocity. The round struck, and something extraordinary happened. Instead of penetrating, it seemed to pass through a field of distorted space around the vehicle, emerging on the other side at a fraction of its initial velocity. Some kind of defensive field, Sarah muttered. Rivera, switch to variable yield tactical rounds. Let's see how they handle a proximity burst. The next few minutes were chaos. The 3 sentinels executed a complex dance of fire and movement, their advanced targeting systems adapting to each failed attempt to penetrate the alien defenses. The aliens responded with weapons that seemed to ignore conventional physics, beams that bent around cover, projectiles that phased through armor before detonating. But Sarah noticed something. Each time the aliens fired, their defensive fields flickered for a fraction of a second. The Sentinel's combat computer was noticing too, building a pattern recognition model in real time. All units, synchronize fire control systems, she ordered. Upload targeting solution Delta 7. Fire on my mark. The 3 sentinels maneuvered into position, their guns tracking in perfect unison. The aliens, perhaps sensing the change in tactics, began to spread out. Mark. 6 rounds left 3 barrels simultaneously, timed to impact the alien vessels precisely as they fired their own weapons. The results were spectacular. With their defensive fields momentarily weakened, the tungsten penetrators found their marks. Two of the alien vessels simply ceased to exist, their internal power sources detonating with terrible force. The third spun wildly, its hover system failing, before crashing into the desert floor. In the sudden silence that followed, Sarah's crew stared in amazement at their displays. The adaptive combat system had recorded everything, every shot, every response, every weakness exposed. "Command, Mako actual," Sarah transmitted, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her system. "Be advised, we have just engaged and destroyed 3 vehicles of extraterrestrial origin. Requesting immediate containment team for 1 partially intact hostile vehicle. And sir, you're going to want to see this data. Humanity just joined a much bigger war." As the sun rose fully over the Movov, casting long shadows across the smoking wreckage, Sarah Chen realized that everything had changed. Humanity had won its first battle against an alien force, not through overwhelming technology or superior numbers, but through adaptability and tactical innovation. It wouldn't be their last victory, but it would always be remembered as the moment Earth proved it wouldn't go quietly into the night. The war for Earth had begun, and humanity's best weapon wasn't its guns or tanks. It was its ability to learn, adapt, and overcome. Sarah patted the Sentinel's armor beside her cupola. They'd need every advantage they could get in the days to come. The adaptive edge. 2 weeks after the Movov incident, the hastily established Tactical Adaptation Center resembled an ant colony that had been stirred with a stick. Engineers, military analysts, and scientists swarmed around the recovered alien vessel, while dozens of screens displayed combat data from the Sentinel tank's engagement. Captain Chen stood before a panel of senior officers, her uniform crisp despite having slept only a few hours in the past 3 days. The holographic display behind her showed detailed analyses of the alien technology. "The key to their defensive systems isn't their superior technology," she explained, manipulating the display to show the energy field recordings. "It's their predictability. Their shields operate on a precise frequency pattern. Once our systems identified it, exploiting the weakness was just a matter of timing." General Martinez leaned forward. "And you're certain this wasn't just luck, Captain?" "The Sentinel's adaptive combat system recorded everything, sir. We've run 10,000 simulations since the engagement. The vulnerability appears during every weapons discharge. They sacrificed adaptability for raw power." The revelation had sparked a revolution in human military doctrine. While the aliens possessed technology centuries ahead of Earth's, they appeared to lack humanity's talent for improvisation and tactical flexibility. In the testing grounds outside, modified tanks were already incorporating the lessons learned. The new targeting systems were designed to exploit the fractional second weaknesses in alien defenses. But Sarah knew it wouldn't be enough. The aliens would adapt too, eventually. Captain Chen, a young lieutenant, burst into the briefing room, face pale. "Long-range sensors have detected multiple objects entering the atmosphere. Initial estimates suggest over 50 alien vessels, larger than anything we've encountered." The room erupted in controlled chaos as officers rushed to their stations. Sarah's tablet lit up with a priority deployment order. Her experimental unit was being activated for full combat operations. Hours later, Sarah stood in her Sentinel's cupola once again, but this time she commanded not just 3 tanks, but an entire battalion of modified vehicles. Each had been upgraded with the lessons learned from the first encounter. "All units, this is Mako actual," she broadcast. "The enemy believes they know what they're facing. Conventional human armor with conventional tactics. They're wrong. Each of your vehicles has been equipped with the new adaptive systems. Use them. Learn from each engagement. Share your data. We're not just fighting with steel and fire. We're fighting with our minds." The alien ships appeared on the horizon, their mercury-like hulls gleaming in the afternoon sun. But this time, Sarah noticed something different. Their formation was more cautious, more spread out. They'd learned from their first defeat. "They're adapting," she muttered. "Good. So are we." The battle that followed would later be known as the Battle of Echo Valley. The alien forces struck with overwhelming power, their energy weapons turning the landscape into glass. But the human forces responded with sophisticated coordination and constantly evolving tactics. Each time the aliens adjusted their shield frequencies, the Sentinels' combat computers would analyze, adapt, and distribute new targeting solutions across the entire battalion. It became a deadly dance of measure and countermeasure. Sarah's tank rocked as it absorbed a glancing hit from an alien weapon. "Status," she barked. "Adaptive armor holding," her engineer reported. "Their weapons are changing frequency too. The computer's keeping up barely." A group of alien vessels attempted to flank the human position, but Sarah had anticipated this. "Mako 3 through 7. Execute pattern Delta. Show them why you don't corner a human." The tanks moved in perfect synchronization, their guns tracking separate targets but firing in precisely timed salvos. The aliens' shield harmonics couldn't adapt quickly enough to the complex pattern of attacks. 3 more alien vessels crashed to Earth. But the aliens were learning too. Their next attack pattern was more complex, less predictable. They were beginning to show signs of tactical flexibility. "They're evolving their strategy," Sarah transmitted to command. "Request permission to deploy the EOE protocol." There was a moment of hesitation before the response came. "Permission granted, Captain. Show them what humanity does best." Sarah allowed herself a small smile as she activated the Enhanced Operational Evolution Protocol, a system that would allow the entire battalion to function as a single adaptive organism, sharing tactical data and responses in real time. "All units, initiate EOE sequence. Let's show them what happens when humans work together." The battlefield transformed into a symphony of coordinated action. Each tank became part of a greater whole, their combined tactical awareness creating patterns of attack and defense that no single commander could have orchestrated. The alien forces, for all their technological superiority, found themselves facing an enemy that grew more dangerous with each passing minute. Their rigid tactical doctrine couldn't match the fluid, evolving strategies of the human forces. As the sun set on Echo Valley, the remaining alien vessels retreated into the darkening sky. The cost had been high. Nearly a third of Sarah's battalion was damaged or destroyed. But they had held the line. More importantly, they had proven that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't its technology, but its ability to adapt, to learn, and to work together in ways that transcended individual limitations. Sarah watched the alien ships disappear into the atmosphere, knowing this was just the beginning. The aliens would return with new tactics, new technologies, new ways to fight. But humanity would be ready, and they would continue to adapt. Because that's what humans do best. They learn, they change, and they survive. Operation Groundfall. The holographic map floating above the tactical table showed hundreds of red dots scattered across North America. Alien landing zones. But it was the pattern they formed that had caught Captain Chen's attention. After 3 months of constant warfare, something about their deployment strategy didn't make sense. "They're not trying to conquer territory," she explained to her assembled officers in the underground command center. "Look at the distribution. They're searching for something." Dr. Emily Rodriguez, the lead synorchaeologist assigned to the military task force, stepped forward. "We've decoded more of the data from the captured vessels. These aren't just invasion forces, they're archaeological survey teams." The revelation sent murmurs through the assembled staff. Sarah manipulated the hologram, overlaying geological survey data. The pattern suddenly became clear. Each alien landing zone corresponded to deep geological anomalies. "They're looking for something buried," Sarah said. "Something that was here long before us." General Martinez's voice cut through the discussion. "Whatever they're looking for, they're willing to burn through our cities to find it. Captain Chen, your battalion's success with the adaptive combat systems has been noted. We're expanding the program. Operation Groundfall begins in 6 hours." The plan was audacious. A coordinated global counterattack aimed not at destroying the alien forces, but at capturing one of their major survey sites intact. Human forces would finally take the offensive. Sarah found herself in her Sentinel's cupola once again, but this time she commanded 5 battalions of upgraded tanks, each incorporating lessons learned from months of desperate defense. The target: a massive alien excavation site in the Canadian Rockies. All units, this is Mako Actual, she broadcast. The aliens think they know Earth's secrets. Time to show them they don't even know ours. The attack began at dawn. Human forces struck from multiple directions, using the mountainous terrain to mask their approach. The alien defenders responded with their typical overwhelming firepower, but something was different about their reaction. They're protecting that dig site more aggressively than usual, Sarah noted as another barrage of alien energy weapons lit up the morning sky. Whatever's down there, they're desperate to reach it first. Her modified Sentinel shuddered as it absorbed a direct hit from an alien weapon. The adaptive armor redistributed the energy, learning from each impact. Status of the EOE network, she demanded. All units synchronized, Captain, her tech officer reported. The swarm intelligence is evolving faster than ever. We're seeing pattern recognition rates triple what we recorded in Echo Valley. The human forces moved like a single organism, tanks coordinating their attacks with uncanny precision. Each vehicle's combat computer shared data in real time, creating an ever-evolving tactical network that adapted faster than the alien defenders could respond. But as they pushed closer to the excavation site, Sarah noticed something strange in her thermal imaging. Those energy readings, they're not coming from the alien ships. Dr. Rodriguez's voice crackled over the command channel. Captain, we're detecting temporal distortions around the dig site. Whatever they're uncovering down there, it's not just archaeology. It's still active. A massive energy surge suddenly erupted from the excavation, temporarily blinding all sensors. When the interference cleared, Sarah saw something impossible emerging from the ground. A structure of impossible geometry, its surface covered in symbols that seemed to shift and change as she watched. All units, hold position, she ordered. Dr. Rodriguez, are you seeing this? It's some kind of automated defense system, the scientist replied, her voice filled with wonder. But it's not alien, at least not their alien. This technology predates them by millennia. The alien forces had stopped firing. Their vessels hovered motionless, as if studying the ancient machine that had awakened beneath the mountains. Then, impossibly, the machine began to speak, not in words, but in patterns of energy that the Sentinel's adaptive systems somehow began to decode. It's a warning, Dr. Rodriguez translated, her voice shaking. This facility was built by protectors. They left these systems across multiple worlds to prevent something. The aliens aren't invaders, Captain. They're running from something worse. As if in response to her words, the alien commander opened a direct channel to Sarah's Sentinel. The voice that came through was synthesized, but the message was clear. Humans, you have awakened the Watchers. We must speak. The true enemy approaches. Sarah looked at the impossible machine, then at the alien vessels that had suddenly become potential allies. Command, this is Mako Actual. Request immediate diplomatic protocol. I think we just found ourselves in the middle of a much bigger war. The ancient defense system continued to pulse with energy, its warning echoing across frequencies that humanity had never known existed. Above, the alien ships began to descend in a non-threatening pattern, and Sarah Chin, sitting in her advanced human tank beside an impossible ancient machine, realized that the real battle for Earth's survival was just beginning. The war wasn't just about territory or conquest anymore. It was about survival, not just humanity's, but perhaps all sentient life in the galaxy. And Earth, it seemed, held keys to secrets that even their advanced alien visitors didn't fully understand. All units, maintain defensive positions, but do not engage, she ordered. I think we're about to get a crash course in galactic history. and our part in it is just beginning. The Engineer's Gambit. The integration center beneath Mount Cheyenne buzzed with activity as human and alien engineers worked side by side. 3 months had passed since Operation Groundfall, and the truth about the galaxy had changed everything. Captain Sarah Chen stood before a hybrid command console, watching as her Sentinel tank underwent its most dramatic transformation yet. The progenitor defense system wasn't just a warning beacon, Dr. Rodriguez explained, manipulating a holographic display of the ancient technology. It's a blueprint. The Watchers left us the tools to fight what's coming. We just had to prove we were ready to use them. The alien engineer beside them, a being who had introduced himself as technical specialist Zexri, moved his four-fingered hands through the hologram. "Your adaptive combat systems," he said through his translator. "They're crude, but they mirror progenitor defense protocols. Of all the races we've encountered running from the void, yours is the first to independently develop similar technology." Sarah watched as robotic arms installed crystalline matrices into her tank systems, a fusion of human innovation and alien tech. "You said we have weeks at most before they arrive. Will we be ready?" The answer came not from Zexri, but from General Martinez, who entered the chamber with a grim expression. "We have to be. Long-range sensors have detected large-scale spatial distortions at the edge of the solar system. The void swarm is coming." The briefing that followed revealed the full scope of what humanity faced. The void, a collective consciousness that consumed both organic and artificial life, had already devoured dozens of civilizations. The aliens, whom they now knew as the Meridian Alliance, had been fighting a losing battle for centuries. "But you have something we lost long ago," Zexri explained. "Unpredictability. Creativity. The ability to take disparate systems and make them work in ways their designers never imagined." Sarah understood. The Meridian's rigid technological advancement had made them powerful but predictable. Humanity's chaotic development, their tendency to jury-rig and improvise, might be exactly what was needed. "Show me the integration progress," she ordered, stepping closer to her modified Sentinel. The tank barely resembled its original form. Crystalline structures merged with traditional armor plate, creating a hybrid that could adapt not just its tactics, but its very structure. The main gun now housed a quantum phase inducer, technology reverse-engineered from both alien and progenitor systems. "The real breakthrough isn't the weapons," Dr. Rodriguez said, pulling up another display. "It's this." The screen showed a network of consciousness, human minds linked through the EOE protocol, but now enhanced by progenitor neural interfaces. "We can think as individuals but fight as one," Sarah realized. Perfect coordination without losing human creativity. "Incoming priority alert," the base AI announced. "Void swarm vessels have breached the Kuiper Belt. First contact estimated in 72 hours. Sarah turned to Zexri. "How many ships escaped your worlds?" 3,000 combat vessels, less than half of what we started with. "And how many has Earth modified with hybrid systems?" General Martinez answered at one. 4,000 Sentinel-class vehicles, 2,000 aerospace fighters, and every major military installation on the planet. "We've been busy." Sarah nodded, a plan forming in her mind. The void adapts by consuming its opponent's technology, correct? It learns by assimilating. Zexri's translator crackled as he responded. "Correct. It's why we've never been able to develop an effective defense. Every adaptation we create eventually becomes part of it. Then we give it something it can't digest," Sarah said, walking to the tactical display. "We don't fight defensively. We don't try to outlast it. We give it so many different systems, so many conflicting adaptations, that it chokes on them." She began laying out her plan. Human ingenuity combined with Meridian technology and progenitor artifacts, not as separate systems but fused together in ways that defied conventional engineering. The void evolved by finding patterns, by consuming and understanding its opponent's technologies. They would give it chaos instead. Every tank, every fighter, Every defense platform will run on different hybrid configurations, she explained. When it tries to adapt to one, it won't apply to the others. We'll hit it with 1,000 different evolutionary paths simultaneously. The next 2 days were a blur of activity. Sarah's Sentinel became the prototype, but each subsequent vehicle was deliberately modified in unique ways. Human engineers worked around the clock, their natural tendency toward improvisation, creating combinations that even their alien allies found startling. As the final hours approached, Sarah stood in her modified command cupola. The neural interface hummed at the base of her skull, connecting her not just to her crew, but to the entire defense network. Through it, she could feel the readiness of every commander, the determination of every crew. All units, this is Mako Actual, she broadcast, her voice carrying to human and alien forces alike. In less than an hour, we face an enemy that has consumed entire civilizations, but they've never faced humanity before. They've never encountered a species that thrives on chaos, that turns disadvantage into strength. She felt the response through the network, not just acknowledgement, but fierce pride and determination. Today we don't just fight for Earth, we fight for every world the Void has taken, for every species it has consumed. And we fight our way, not with perfect technology, but with the beautiful chaos of human innovation. The first Void ships appeared as tears in spacetime itself, massive, organic mechanical hybrids that defied conventional physics. Sarah smiled grimly as she gave the order that would begin humanity's greatest battle. All units, let's show them how humans wage war. Steel Dawn. The void between Mars and Earth erupted with impossible colors as reality itself bent and twisted. The Void Swarm's advance guard emerged from the spatial distortions, vast biosynthetic ships that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Their surfaces rippled with consumed technologies from 1,000 dead civilizations. Captain Sarah Chen felt the neural network pulse with determination as humanity prepared for its greatest battle. Through the enhanced systems of her modified Sentinel, she could sense every crew member, every hybrid weapon, every improvised defense. Multiple contacts, her sensor officer reported unnecessarily. They all felt it through the network. Void entities are. They're attempting to access our systems. Let them try, Sarah responded, a grim smile playing across her face. Execute Operation Chaos. Across the solar system, humanity's defense platforms activated, but each one ran on different protocols, different combinations of human, meridian, and progenitor technology. As the Void reached out to consume and adapt to their systems, it encountered not a unified defense, but a cacophony of contradictory information. The first wave of Void ships attacked with weapons stolen from the Meridians. Energy beams lanced out, seeking targets, but human vessels responded with technologies that shouldn't have worked together. Quantum phase inducers fired through primitive railgun barrels. Progenitor crystal matrices channeled power through jury-rigged human capacitors. It's working, Zexri's voice came through the command network. Their adaptation protocols are struggling to compensate. Sarah watched through enhanced sensors as the first Void ship attempted to absorb a destroy human tanks technology. The resulting feedback loop caused cascading failures through its systems. The massive vessel shuddered, its surface rippling as it tried to integrate the chaotic mix of technologies. All units, press the advantage, Sarah ordered. Random pattern Sigma. Every ship, every tank, use different configurations. Don't let them find a pattern. The battle that followed defied conventional physics and tactical doctrine alike. Human crews, linked through their neural interfaces, but maintaining individual creativity, fought with desperate innovation. Each engagement was unique, each weapon combination different from the last. The Void Swarm, for the first time in its ancient history, faced an enemy it couldn't simply consume and adapt to. Every time it assimilated one human technology, it encountered 3 more used in ways that contradicted the first. But the enemy was far from defeated. A massive Void vessel, larger than the others, emerged from the spatial distortion. Its surface was a nightmare of accumulated technology, a testament to countless civilizations it had consumed. New contact is broadcasting, the comm officer reported. It's trying to communicate. Through the neural network, they all felt it, not words, but concepts, ancient and terrible. The void wasn't just trying to consume them, it was trying to understand why it couldn't. Send them our response, Sarah commanded, initiating the protocol they'd prepared. Through the network, they transmitted not data but the essence of human chaos, art and music, poetry and mathematics, all the contradictions and creativity that made humanity unique. The void entity recoiled, its systems unable to process the deliberate disorder of human thought. Primary target is destabilizing, Zexri reported. Its adaptation matrices are falling into recursive loops. Sarah saw their opportunity. All units converge on the primary target. Empty your magazines. Every different weapon type we have. Give it more than it can process. Human and Meridian ships struck together, each weapon firing something different. Progenitor energy beams refracted through makeshift human lenses. Improvised warheads carried payloads that mixed technologies in ways that should have been impossible. The massive void ship's surface began to fracture as it tried to adapt to too many contradictory systems at once. Smaller void vessels connected to it started showing similar signs of systemic failure. The collective consciousness is destabilizing. Dr. Rodriguez's voice came through the network. The void operates on patterns. We're giving it anti-patterns. It's like a computer trying to divide by zero. Through her neural interface, Sarah felt the moment the void entity's consciousness began to fragment. Its attempt to understand and consume humanity's chaos had introduced a fatal flaw into its adaptation protocols. All units, clear the blast radius, she ordered. Let's finish this. Her modified Sentinel fired its main gun one last time. A hybrid shot that combined 3 different technological bases in ways that shouldn't have worked. The projectile struck the failing void ship at its core. The resulting explosion bent space itself, the death throes of an entity that had consumed galaxies only to choke on human ingenuity. As the light faded, the remaining void ships began to dissolve, their stolen technologies falling into the same recursive failure loops that had destroyed their leader. In the silence that followed, Sarah felt the neural network pulse with triumph, relief, and something else, a sense of possibility. Humanity had proven itself not just to the Meridians but to the galaxy itself. They had demonstrated that sometimes the most powerful weapon isn't perfect technology, but the beautiful chaos of human creativity. All units, stand down to Condition 2, she broadcast. Begin recovery operations. Then, switching to a private channel to Zexri, she added, I think it's time we discussed humanity's role in rebuilding the galaxy. As her Sentinel turned back toward Earth, Sarah Chen reflected on how far they'd come. They had faced an enemy that had consumed entire civilizations, and they had won not through superior technology or overwhelming force, but through humanity's greatest strength, their ability to embrace chaos, to innovate, to defy conventional wisdom. The stars seemed brighter somehow, full of possibilities rather than threats. Humanity had earned its place among the stars, not by following the path of other civilizations, but by blazing their own chaotic, brilliant trail. The war was over, but humanity's greatest adventure was just beginning.